Oh, he started recording.
All right. Clint from the doorway too, hanging out with the guys from GraveHuffer. What I'll let you do first of all is thanks for doing this. Really do appreciate it. But introduce yourselves and what you guys do.
Well, Clint, thanks for having us. I'm Richie. I play guitar and write some of the music.
I'm Mike. I play the bass. I write the others. And
Awesome.
your time, man.
Cool. Glad you both, Richie and Mike. So I guess the first question I'm going to ask is, what makes GraveHuffer together? And oh, you are frozen as can be right now.
Yeah, it's kind of.
Does that every.
You guys are back now, so.
Is it working?
Yeah,
I don't know.
Can you guys hear me now?
Yeah.
All right. So if you want to answer the question, heard it or not, I'll re-ask it if not. So.
We didn't hear the first one, so.
Oh, no problem. So what makes GraveHuffer tick? Like what makes the band a success? Why are you guys together? Like what do you think makes it a good pairing?
Well, I guess for my part, like, I think Mike and I in particular, like, we've been writing music together since, gosh, like the mid-90s, I guess.
Okay.
So, we've been in bands, different bands other than GraveHuffer for, decades now. So that's kind of weird. But, so yeah, as far as like having a writing chemistry, I think that really helps. I don't know. It's like we kind of know not what each other's thinking. That sounds kind of cliche, but it's almost like when we have ideas, like we kind of know what the other one is not what we're expecting, but like, I don't know. I think we have like similar like vibes we're trying to put across, similar sounds, that kind of thing. And I don't know. We're really agreeable. I think that helps a lot. You know what I mean?
Nice.
So, I mean, I don't know. I think we both like what each other brings to the table, and I think honestly, that's the biggest part.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah.
You got anything else you want to put to it, Mike?
I don't know. I guess we've been, like you said, we've been doing it for so long that I can write sometimes like I'll write something and I'll be like, oh, I'll use this for something else because it doesn't really fit GraveHuffer, but I'll show it to the guys anyway, and they'll be like, no, we got to use that. Sometimes it really surprises me because I'm like, well, this doesn't sound like GraveHuffer, but that's just what makes GraveHuffer is that we don't really have a set of rules of what it's supposed to sound like. And we just try to put that GraveHuffer stamp on it, like no matter
Sure.
it's got to sound like GraveHuffer,
Yeah, I agree totally. I mean, it seems like we kind of know our like not limitations, but there's just somewhere I don't know. I think everything we do, regardless of genre or whatever you want to call it, it always has like an intensity to it, and it's kind of an experiment. It's extreme in a way. So and there's a sincerity about it because like we like it, so we're not writing for a record company like that. So we're just doing it because we like it.
Yeah, we're not going, well, what's the new formula? What's going to sell?
Right? Yeah.
That bad thing about past girlfriends. They're like, I can never make any money. It's like, I don't do this for the money. I do this. It's like therapy. It's not even
right. Seriously,
it's not even for that. It's like that's kind of what's cool about it. It's like it's really like we write it for us, and then the fact that other people are digging it and they get it. That's what makes it cool.
I know, right? It's always kind of it is kind of surprising sometimes. It's like they like that song, or this is the song everybody likes. It's so weird.
Yeah, you're like, you don't know what they're gonna like.
Yeah,
you know,
you really don't.
Gotcha. So I'm gonna kind of throw a couple band names out because these are what I hear when I'm listening to. I've only heard the new record. I haven't heard anything before this, so I don't know what you sounded like beforehand.
Right.
But I'm gonna throw some band names out because when I was listening to the record, I'm gonna talk about a few songs in general later on that I really do love. But I wanna talk about this first. So you definitely give me elements of the following bands. So the Misfits, Dead Horse, The Accused. I hear a lot of Buzz Oven in you guys as well too, and then I hear a shit ton of Brutal Truth. So I really want to say if those 5 bands got into a fucking fist fight, I think it would be GraveHuffer. So
that's cool.
So do any of those bands kind of influence you in any way, or are you surprised by any of those influences? I'm just kind of wondering. So.
Oh man, the Misfits is kind of surprising.
Yeah, I was gonna say the Misfits is kind of
that's
surprising.
probably the Moto Mag song.
Yeah.
Like I can hear
Stingray.
That Stingray, yeah. But The Accused, dude. Like I was a skateboarder. You know, he used to skateboard too, like in the 80s, 90s. I mean, I'm 50 years old and I still skateboard when I can. You know, it's just The Accused, like. Back then, when you rode a skateboard or when you skated, the music was just as important as everything else, you know.
Right.
So when you met another skateboarder, you're like, oh, they listen to Circle Jerks, they listen to Black Flag.
Yeah.
You know, like they're into good music.
Right.
You know? So you go, like, everybody have their bag of tapes, you know. Listen to this, listen to this. So you're getting turned on to stuff just constantly.
Yeah.
But The Accused is always bumping at the ramp. DRI.
Yeah.
Sure.
Like you said, Misfits. I mean, what teenager didn't go through the Misfits phase, man?
Right. I mean, dude, yeah, he's not lying. And there was always the one guy that brought the ghetto blaster or whatever, you know?
Right.
And everybody would, like Mike was saying, everybody bring their cassettes, and that was it, you know? I remember when I was skating, it was usually like, old Corrosion and Conformity, suicidal tendencies, especially like the first couple records.
Oh man, that first Suicidal changed my life.
Right. I mean, I remember hearing that skate. The first time I heard it was skating. You know, I was like, "What the fuck? This is badass." And I mean, I don't know what it was, but like this, it was the soundtrack to. It's the soundtrack to whatever it is you were doing that day. Usually the soundtrack to hurting yourself. So I mean, really, or like it would inspire you or whatever to try a new trick or whatever, you know. It would pump you up in a cool way. And DRI, that was another one. Nuclear Assault, all that stuff.
Absolutely.
I would bring Bob Marley, Ravi Shankar. You know, after you skate, like when you start getting a little bit older and you're smoking weed and skating, then it started getting a little different. You're like, let's get a little mellow today. Right. Let's skate to some Bob Marley.
I'm more
some Peter Tosh or something.
Peter Tosh. Hey guys.
That's definitely cool. I'm 48 myself, so I totally understand. I'm in the same world. I grew up during the same time, so all the bands you just mentioned are very dear and near to my heart as well too. So I kind of want to talk a little bit about. So I love the elements of the grindcore mixed with the punk aesthetics into the music. It kind of really calls to me. It's probably our ages because of what we listened to and what we loved. But I kind of want to talk about, like, I love how the sludginess and the punk element kind of merge together as one kind of tone. And a lot of bands don't do that. A lot of bands will have their sludgy song, they'll have their punk song. Like, you guys throw both of it into the same track and it works. So talk a little bit how, like, grindcore, sludge, and punk, it shouldn't all work, but it does in a band like GraveHuffer.
Yeah. Well,
it all comes from the same place.
Yeah, it does, really. Yeah. It all comes from punk rock, really.
I know, I know.
To be honest. I mean, punk rock kind of fucking, all that old 70s and early 80s stuff that's what all those grind bands and all those sludge bands were listening to. And then you have Black Sabbath. You know what I mean? So like it was like playing Black Sabbath riffs really fast. You know, that's kind of what I always think of myself when I write stuff. I'm like, I'm just playing Tony Iommi stuff fast. So you know, but yeah, I don't know. I just think it seems like whenever we get together, I think part of the whole sludgy thing may just be our sound, I guess. I don't.
Yeah, like our we don't
tone.
like. I don't sit there and try to make like I try to make my bass sound good, you know. But my goal is to like if Richie's guitar is this, I want my bass to be this, you know, and I want it to be like all one thing instead of being the bass sounds cool and the guitar sounds cool. I want it to be this one big monster.
Sure.
Like when we're both like doing our thing, they shouldn't be able to go. It should just be one giant thing to us. Right. You know what I mean? Instead of bass going or something, you know.
Yeah.
I just think, to me, aesthetically, it's better.
Kind of like Rush or something, where they play all those like unison kind of things, you know. I mean, we do. I don't know if it's necessarily Rush, but it's, I mean, it's like that kind of thing where like we're playing similar, like a lot of the same lines and stuff. But then when we do deviate, it's like whoa, you know, it's like really wild. So I think the tonality of the instruments are more of the sludge aspect. I mean, I know we play slower, but we just try to get like the gnarliest, like production wise and tone wise. And I think, like you were saying, some bands like they want it to sound really tight and you know what I'm saying? And like I think what we do is more rooted in the punk rock, where it's just turn everything up to 11 and play really loud. I think we're trying to kind of like you say, trying to combine everything into one big thing. So,
sure.
Yeah.
Plus, Richie kind of writes more technical. You know, I mean, he's a guitar player and he's a metal guy, so it's more going to be more technical. I'm from the like Mob 47, like DB, like you said, Brutal Truth. You know, Danny Loker was one of my bass heroes. You know, just the sloppy, really fast, but it's like I don't want to say sloppy.
Yeah, it's not sloppy, but
I don't
it's just frenetic, man.
It's like it's a little different than what he does, but they go together.
Right. I don't know how it works,
but it works.
Yeah, because our styles are very. It's weird.
Sure. So yeah, like I was gonna say is it's definitely not sloppy. It's just really heavy and dirty. That's kind of the tone that the bass gives me. So it works really well. So let's talk a little bit about Missouri for a second, because I don't know too many bands that sound like you from Missouri. So where did you have the meeting of the minds with several people that were like-minded enough to create this like monster of a band? Because I mean, toured all over the U.S. many times. I played in Missouri, and it's been a hard place to get something this extreme to be able to play with. So talk to a little bit about the area you're in and how you found, you know, several like-minded people.
Right. That's a really good question. There's not. I'll always remember this one time. Mike and I were talking about high school, and you know he moved from a bigger city in Oklahoma City or Tulsa. I think he lived in both, and he moved to Joplin. And he's like, "Man, where are all the punk rockers? What? It's like all like suburban white people." No, for lack of a better term, you know. And he's like, I was looking for people wearing combat boots and, you know, to basically the punk rock uniform or whatever, you know, because there was only like a couple, you know, and back then that's kind of how you identified. So, you know, like for me, I'd be looking for who's wearing the Morbid Angel shirt, or you know, who has the long hair, or what, you know, whatever.
Jean jacket.
Yeah, who's wearing the jean jacket? Who has the high tops and the peg pants?
White high tops. long brown hair and a jean jacket.
Yeah. So that was, you could start a conversation with them and know whether or not they were into it or just posers or whatever. And so that was it. It was hard to find people that were into the same thing. And but
when I moved here, like he said, I was like looking, I ran into another guy. I was skateboarding downtown, and I heard another skateboard coming. So I just sat down where I was because I was at between some buildings, so I couldn't tell which way he was coming. So I just sat down, and I was like, "That's a skateboard." Because I had people, "Did you build that thing?" You're like, "Fuck, no, I didn't build this." It was just culture shock, man. But backwards, it was really weird. Mm-hmm. But luckily, for such a small town, it seems like everyone we hang out with moved here somehow.
Right.
So it's like this town has like a really cool vibe to it. Has really cool like music history, like a lot of blues, and because it's kind of on the way to like Chicago.
Yeah.
From the south. So like a lot of people would come through. They called it Little Chicago back in the day. As a mining town, big boom. A lot of crazy shit happened here. Bonnie and Clyde was here. All this crazy shit happened. But yeah, I think that not rebel. That's a bad word.
Yeah.
But that crazy vibe is still here.
Yeah.
And like, when I moved here, there was no club. Like the bands are all cover bands. Mm-hmm. There might have been some like punk, like new wavy,
right,
type of things happening, but we started renting out those different buildings and putting on shows, and that's where it's like, people are like, "Well, you're playing your own songs?" Like usually we play all covers and try to sneak our songs,
right?
Like,
yeah.
It's easier to write your own song than it is to learn a cover when you're playing punk,
Right. Yeah, you just start playing.
I'm not very good.
That sounds cool. Yeah. Yep. That's it, man. And the punk scene here in the 90s was pretty big.
Yeah, the Joplin had a really good back then.
It really, dude, it was it was crazy. Like there was all these skate parks and all these skate parks, but there was like a few skate parks and there was always shows going on almost every weekend, and they were all ages. So you got to know all the kids, all the teenagers, all the 20-somethings, all, and they just all got together and would skate and listen to music, play shows.
And then they would start making bands.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
It's not like that. There's not any all ages clubs right now. There's nothing right now.
But. Right now, yeah. Yeah, it's the scene kind of goes, it ebbs and flows, and so
Gotcha.
I think right now I don't know. Hopefully it'll be on the flow side. I kind of feel like maybe it could happen. People have got to be itching to play. I know we are. So
there's a few underground clubs here. There's a few like basement people have basement shows all the time.
Right.
But it's word of mouth and it's real small circles,
Sure.
It's really hard to catch anything right now.
Yeah, it is.
Gotcha. Well, cool. So I think what I want to do next is talk about a couple of the tracks that I really dig.
Okay.
So the first one I'm going to talk about is Sight Into the Sky. First of all, I just love the Buzz Aldrin intro. Okay, like that's just super. For me, it lets me nerd out a little bit on my sci-fi world.
Yeah.
But the reason why I like the song is because that one is really the one that kind of encompasses GraveHuffer's sound to me. Like it has all your elements of the band in that song. Like if there was one song I would have to play somebody, it would be that one. Okay. And I kind of want to talk to you a little bit like, how did that song come to be? How do you feel about that song? Maybe it's the song you hate the most. I don't know. Tell me a little bit about that track and how it came about.
Okay. Well, as far as like the music, that was something that, like, I had all these riffs on my phone. And, when we were writing for this record, dude, I had like 30 or 40, 50 ideas on my phone. And Mike's like, okay, man, email them to me. And he goes, I'll put them together on the computer and try to get some semblance of songs. And so Sights to the Sky was one that like really kind of stood out as far as like something complete. Pretty much everything else, it was like an A-B part here, an A-B part there. Maybe we can use this for an outro. Well, with that, it was like two almost completed songs kind of like butted together. And so that's why you were saying, it's like all of our sounds kind of they're into one thing, because it does have some kind of mid-paced heavy stuff. It's got fast stuff. It's got like sludgy stuff. And so, yeah, a lot of different vocals too. The Aldrin thing was pretty much Mike's idea. And I know he'd always wanted to like write a song about Buzz Aldrin. And personally, I'm kind of like, yes, because
who doesn't like Buzz Aldrin?
I know. I mean, if you don't,
like, what person hearing this wouldn't buy him dinner? You know?
No shit, right?
Right. That's Buzz Aldrin. You're like, fuck that guy. Yeah. I got it.
Right. No kidding. And we wanted to write it more about his entire life, not just the whole moon thing, because he's lived a really interesting life. I mean, it's like,
say the least.
Jesus Christ, dude. Like the way he was brought up and all the shit he went through after coming back from the moon.
Right.
Like, people not believing him and thinking it's a conspiracy, all this. Some dude making him swear on the Bible that he landed on. And Buzz said,
he knocked that dude down.
Yeah, he fucking knocked the guy on his ass, man. I was like, fuck you.
Somebody else should have done it, though. Shame on those people.
No shit, man. They're just sitting there.
If I was around and someone was giving Buzz Aldrin shit, oh, man.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. It's like that dude, it wouldn't be pretty.
Fuck you.
Yeah, that's so disrespectful. But anyway, all that's in the song, and so we wanted to kind of put all that across. But yeah, it's a good question, and I think it is a good example of like a kind of a I don't know what I'm trying to say, an overlay or of whatever, just a amalgamation of what we do.
Right.
Voivod's guitar player Chewy plays the solo, and that was that was pretty awesome. So, because Voivod personally are a huge influence on me. So
yeah, me too.
Yeah. I mean, they're a big influence on us. So to get Chewy to play on that was pretty awesome, to say the least. And he was super cool and easy to work with, and
awesome.
He let us know exactly what he wanted as far as like the music. I mean, not what to play, but like how he wanted. He's like, if you could send
format and how he wanted it sent.
Right. Yeah. Like
he wanted the vocals on there, but we didn't have the vocals yet, so Richie had to like lay down some scratch vocals.
Yeah, I said kind of like a real quick scratch vocal, and we ended up using like the basic part of that for the actual vocal that Jay, our drummer, ended up singing it.
Nice.
And Travis sang. I mean, we all kind of pitched in on it, but
except me, I don't sing.
Yeah.
Well, no, that's definitely cool, because I was going to ask about the Chewy thing too, because ironically, Voivod is the very last band I got to see before this whole pandemic happened. So yeah.
The Wake tour.
Yep.
Damn, that album was so badass, man.
Oh yeah, it was amazing. Yeah, I got to see him at a club with like 400 people, and it was amazing. So yeah.
Dude, lucky.
Yeah, it's so good. It was so good. Yeah, they literally played Phoenix like 2 weeks before everything got shut down. So like, yeah. So like, I have really fond memories of Voivod because it's my last live show. Like, like it means so much to me. So that's cool. No, awesome. I appreciate that kind of as well too. So the next song I kind of want to talk about. So this is me nerding out because I am an old school wrestling fan, brother. Okay, like old school. Okay, and when I heard the Andre the Giant thing for the WWF, man, you made my heart like grow like 7 sizes bigger, man. All right. So like in the 80s, as a kid, man, on the weekends, if I wasn't watching wrestling, we were outside doing wrestling. Like that's just the way it was, man. So talk to me about Smaller Than Death, man, because that song that's probably the sludgiest beast you guys have, man.
Yeah, for sure. Well,
I mean, I loved Andre the Giant. Yeah. I was like, my cousins I go visit about once every other month or so down in Oklahoma City. So I'd go down there, and they were huge wrestling nuts. You know, my grandpa, he watched wrestling like the old school guys with the mat, where they'd be unlacing it, and like right then someone would hit him, and then, you know, like, the guy would save his identity. You know.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
And so my grandpa's a huge wrestling nut, and I just thought I got a kick out of watching everybody watch it. You know.
Yeah.
The fucking people banging on shit, fucking going crazy, you know. But the characters, dude, I got a real kick out of it because I was like, if I was a wrestler, I'd want to be a bad guy. You know?
Right.
Yeah.
Because they look like they have the most fun. You know, they're just out there pissing their crowd off.
Yeah.
Like,
Right.
man, look at that guy. But to Andre the Giant right away, I remember the first time I saw him, I was like, God damn, look at that dude.
I know.
You know?
Yeah.
And my grandpa was like, oh yeah, he's undefeated. He was telling me he's the bad motherfucker, you know?
Yeah.
Right.
Right.
And yeah, I just always wondered. Then I started wondering about like how he lived, you know, because he's such a big dude.
Right.
And then I think I saw like a documentary online on HBO or something.
HBO.
And they were just talking about all this, you know, what a hard life he had, you know. And then I saw another documentary, and I think it had Jake the Snake Roberts on there talking.
Oh yeah.
And he said that he wouldn't watch that documentary because it would have made him sad, you know. And he's like,
Right.
they're like, why? He was Andre the Giant. And he's like, man, he goes, imagine having to live your whole life living on baby furniture. And it hit the guy, and he's like, wow, I guess I never thought about that. He's like, yeah, man. He's like, he was like the first international superstar. You know, he would like fly to Japan back in the day when people didn't really fly to Japan. So it was like they said it was like a 20-some hour flight.
Yeah.
And he couldn't go to the bathroom, dude. So they'd have to like put blankets around him, and he'd have to like poop or fucking piss in a bucket.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
You know?
Like in the plane, not in the bathroom.
Yeah, in the plane, dude. Like how humiliating. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
But can you imagine Andre Turd, dude? I was like the size of one of the peanut logs you get at Christmas time.
The Yule log.
Damn. They're like holding the bucket, like, woof! Someone get in here, wipe this thing, man.
Oh my God, dude.
Don't put your finger in the hole.
Oh my God.
But yeah,
oh Jesus.
But dude, yeah, I loved Andre the Giant. You know, I always felt he entertained me, but I always thought, you know, what's that guy's life like? You know?
Right. Yeah. I mean, it would be kind of, when you do think about it, it's, I remember there was an interview, it was like that Mean Gene Okerlund was interviewing him, and took his ring off, and Mean Gene was able to fit like 3 of his fingers in Andre's ring. He's like, look at this, ladies and gentlemen, you know, and I was like, whoa, that's really cool. That's crazy. You don't realize the perspective until, you know, you see stuff like that, or like say when you think about like, he has to take a shit behind a curtain in an airplane. You know, it's crazy, and it would suck. I mean, really.
Absolutely.
You know, I mean, it's just, but like, and then like Mike was saying, he was like the first like wrestling like superstar, rock star, or whatever. You know, wrestling was still like bubbling in the underground at the time. And Andre came out, and it kind of took wrestling to another level.
Oh, I agree.
You know, I think that was part of it too. I mean, as far as I'm concerned, you know,
all those wrestlers were afraid of him.
Yeah, exactly.
They all say in those videos, if you really pissed him off, they said, there's no way you can stop him.
No.
Like, he's the strongest man that they ever knew.
Right.
Like Arnold Schwarzenegger says, he buys him dinner, or he asks him to dinner, and when the check came, Andre grabbed the check. And Arnold grabbed the check and said, I pay. I invited you to dinner.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
No, I pay. And he's like, no, I invited you to dinner. And he says he picked him up like a little kid and set him up on this fucking mantle like a piece of furniture. He said he felt like a little boy. He said he just picked me up like a little boy and put me on furniture.
That's awesome.
That's Arnold Schwarzenegger. He's not 125 pounds.
I know, yeah. I mean, he's not a small man.
It's just like,
No, not at all.
no problem. Here's a fucking ticket, man.
Yeah.
That's cool.
That song is more about his life, and like he could defeat anything but death, and that's why it's called Smaller Than Death.
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah, as far as, like the music's concerned, you're talking about it being sludgy. I think we consciously were like,
yeah, we knew. We're like, it's Andre the Giant. Yeah. It's got to be like big and like slow and like,
right, like
Andre's coming after you. You know what I mean?
Right, and that's it builds in intensity, gets faster and faster, and then like it gets to the like more punk
like
rock.
He gets pissed off. Like when a song gets fast, that's when Andre's supposed to be like just whooping your ass in the rain.
Right.
Yeah. Running. Boom!
Nice.
Like him fighting Macho Man or something, which I guess he's Macho Man. So
yeah, they said one time he ran out of the ring. His hair was all fucked up and shows him running out of the ring. Like, where are you going? That Vince McMahon or whatever.
Yeah.
Where are you going? And he said, he's gonna kill me.
So I became really good friends over the last few Comic-Cons here in Phoenix with the Honky Tonk Man, and he told me a lot of great stories about Andre the Giant, and a lot of them are very similar to what you told me. But he kind of told me he lived a really sad life, though, like that he had to live by himself a lot, and a lot of people didn't want to associate with him because of how big he was and the medical problems that he had, and so he had some close friends in wrestling, and he stuck around with them. But I got told that he was like the most gentle-hearted, coolest dude that you will ever meet. Like, if you became friends with him, like, it was a lifelong thing. He would never forget your name, kind of thing. So
nice.
So like that song means a lot to me. So I appreciate that. So the last song I want to talk about, and I'm gonna let you guys talk about it, and it's probably my favorite song on the record, is Ghost Dance.
Oh, wow.
And the reason why I like that is because you mix it up and you kind of you give it a melody that the other songs don't really have. It's in the background of the other songs, but that one is pissed off, heavy, and melodic at the same time. And that's really hard to do. That is not an easy, toll to make. So talk to me a little bit about Ghost Dance, because like that one was the one, that's the reason why I wanted to talk to you guys. Like that was the one that drew me the most.
Okay, cool. Well, that first riff, like as far as musically, I know that was something that I think it was something Mike wrote, and it was initially played a little different and not fast. It was like this digga 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 down, digga 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 down, And so when we started, that riff is like several years old now that I think about it. That was like, dude.
Yeah, we just never could fit it.
Yeah, I mean,
it wasn't something that we kept trying to bring back. It's just kind of like you start playing like, oh, I remember that.
Yeah.
But this time it actually, I think once Jay started playing it, it was going so fast that we couldn't play the riff like we're supposed to play it.
Yeah.
Then we had to change the way we played it, and I made it into that.
Right. Yeah, it was kind of interesting now that I think about it, how that one came together. Because it was Mike, Jay, and myself, like all jamming in the room, and all we had was that very first riff. That's all we had, and so we were just jamming on that. And Jay started doing his like drum parts and stuff, and we're like, man, this is really cool, because we'd never really played with a drummer that played double bass.
Yeah, we always had punk drummers.
Right, which is cool and really made it unique, but the thing with Jay is he's a punk drummer that just happens to play some double bass, here and there. So that, I think Jay still has the elements that made us unique with Larry, and so.
Oh yeah, he definitely has punk
drums,
and I think that's what he started doing first.
Right, exactly.
But he can do the metal, like pound your face double bass.
Right, and so that was kind of like, oh, that's really cool. And so for whatever reason, we were kind of thinking of Bolt Thrower and old like Death, like the band Death, and that whole chorus part. and just riding just riding that one note. You know, it's like that real like late '80s, early '90s death metal vibe, and it's kind of we just like, oh man, we're liking that. And now the middle part where it changes, I'm almost thinking that was for a different song maybe at first. I can't remember. I think maybe it was
one of those things that just kept getting stacked on and stacked on and stacked
yeah.
on.
Yeah, it was like we knew the song wasn't over yet. You know, I mean, it just, I don't know. I feel like
It was like, okay, here comes another part. And then it goes into this.
yeah.
Now let's put this there.
Right.
Then you're like, hey, we need to stop because it's like 13 parts now.
Right. I don't know. I feel like a lot of the times we'll play a part. Oh, where do you hear this going? A lot of the times Mike and I will do that. We're like, what are you hearing here? What do you, or like he'll ask me, what are you thinking? We'll ask Jay even like, man, Jay, what do you think? Where do you think the song needs to go? Because it doesn't stop here. And so it kind of goes into that kind of weird, like Sonic Youth kind of thing.
Yeah.
Which I know some people would probably be like, what? But that's kind of where we were. That's where our minds went for whatever reason.
Like old Sonic Youth.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Like
no, it reminds me of the old Daydream Nation kind of stuff. You're absolutely right. Yeah, totally does. So that's very cool.
Totally. It's funny. I was going to mention that album.
That's one of my top 10 albums of all time.
Yeah, right.
It's nice.
And so I think Mike even may have said something about, I'm kind of hearing like some kind of Sonic Youth vibe or something. I mean, I can't remember verbatim, but yeah, that was that part. And then Jay was kind of like playing a totally different drum than what we were thinking. We're like, whoa, that's really cool. And I think that's what's exciting about being in this band is you'll play something and then you'll kind of hear in your head what the drums are going to do or what the bass is going to do.
What you think? Yeah.
And then they play their part and you're like, holy shit, that's way cooler than what I was
you're doing
thinking.
something different. So I need to go like this.
Right. Yeah.
That's what makes it fun.
It is exactly. It's what makes it fun. Because every once in a great while, they'll be like, I don't really like that. But that's not very often. Usually it's, whoa, it blows you away. And that's kind of what happened with Ghost Dance. And then I think the last, like, really, really melodic part was mine. And he's like, Richie, think of a melody to play over that. And that was what came out, the first thing I played. And that's usually the way we write. That's kind of a typical writing session, I guess. And we spent that day doing that song. And I think the lyrics came much later.
Okay.
I thought that, to me, when we did the chorus part,
yeah,
I thought that was going to be the one that scared people away, honestly.
Oh, yeah.
I was like, that's the one I was mostly like, oh, shit. People would have like play it for friends, like close friends that will that won't blow smoke on my ass. They'll tell me that sucks, or they'll say, yeah, that's really good,
Yeah.
And they all listen to it, and they're all like, they all said the same thing. They're all like, wow,
Right.
Instead of going, I don't like that.
Yeah.
I don't like the way you guys are singing there.
Right.
Everyone thought it was cool, so I was like, okay, let's see if it works.
Right. Well, I know I hadn't heard them. Like, I was at home when Mike and Travis were recording the vocals, and they sent it to Jay and I later that evening, and I listened to it, and I was like, whoa, god damn, guys. I was, like, really blown away. And I was like, this is fucking awesome, man. This is, like, different, but not too different. I don't know if that makes sense.
And that was that Travis's first?
That was, yeah. I think Andre was his first thing.
James wrote.
Well, I think those were Travis's first. No, Death Before Disco was the first lyrics.
Oh, that's the first lyrics he wrote.
Yeah.
Okay.
That was the second set of lyrics Travis wrote for the band, and I mean,
wow.
Travis had just joined the band because James had left a couple months, prior to us recording. So, yeah, dude, we were just all over the place. Like, but I think we set a deadline, or at least the label set a deadline, and I think that helped us focus. And personally, I think I know I perform better under pressure. So.
There you go.
I mean, seriously, I just feel like it just focuses your energy and.
Well, yeah, there's no time to be fucking around.
Yeah, I know. It's like
right.
It's time to work.
It's time to work, and I mean, it's not work, but you know what I'm saying. It's like we don't have time to like, hey guys, I mean, yeah,
overanalyze
it, right? And I think this album there was a lot of that kind of like, all right, that's it. It's a lot of an immediacy kind of thing, but it doesn't.
I'm glad it came out that way, because that's the song that really spoke to me first one. So very, very cool. So let's talk a little bit, so you guys can kind of. I always like to ask this question. So let's see what your interpretation is. So if I had somebody that has never heard GraveHuffer before, and they're about to listen to Necro-Occlusion for the very first time, how would you sell it to them? Like, how would you say, this is what you're about to listen to? I know how I would say it, but I really want to hear how you guys would say it.
I think I'll just hand them the album cover. Tunes on.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, because that's what grabbed you, you know, back in our day. That's
right.
what grabbed you. You like flip through the records, you see something weird, you're like, whoa, what is this?
Yeah.
Right. Look at the song titles after that.
Right.
Then you look at the label. What label are they on? You know?
Yeah.
If it passed those three things, you're pretty much going to buy it.
Right.
And I had a fourth one.
You know what I mean? It's so,
but go ahead. I was going to say I have a fourth one too. I would read the liner notes and see what bands they thanked.
On the thank you list.
Yeah, the thank you.
Yep. Like, oh, they thanked Voivod.
Right.
You're right.
Okay.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's totally it, man. Yeah, I would probably do the same thing.
Cool.
Because you look at that art and you're like, what is that? You know, it piques your interest. And I think we do a good enough job with our art of being.
It should tell you what kind of music it is.
Yeah, I mean, it's provocative in a way that once you want to check it out. And I think that art it's like, whoa, this is wild. And, you know, I think the music fits that, you know. And yeah, and then you flip on the back and you're like, oh shit. You know, there's skulls, you know what I mean? And so, you know, I think you know what you're getting into. And if you have the vinyl version, you're like, whoa, man. You know, it's really, you know, it fits the art and everything. So yeah,
cool.
That's how I do.
Awesome.
Like, artwork to us is just as important as the music. I mean, we try to get art for every song almost.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's just because someone will do something and we're like, oh, I really like that. Let's talk to them.
Right.
You know?
Mm-hmm.
Then they're like, oh, hey, we drew this too. You know, and it's like, oh yeah, we'll take that too.
Right.
You know, so it's kind of like a networking thing, you know? Like Carl Dahmer, he did our first CD.
Right.
Okay.
You know, and now he's done, dude, how many bands has he done now?
Nice,
you
dude.
know?
Yeah, that guy, he's done stuff for like, Jesus.
And he did some Mad Wolf art. If you buy the vinyl, you get a Mad Wolf poster in there.
Oh, wow.
He did that poster.
Yep, he did that poster. Yeah, we worked with 4 or 5 different artists just on their album.
Nice.
And, like, we've got several other artists that did like art for singles or new shirts. I mean, geez, dude, we probably worked with 8 or 9 different artists at least. And I mean, it's not that expensive, you know. I mean, and price shouldn't even be an issue, but you want to support them,
right?
So they continue to do what they love doing. And you know, a lot of the times they'll share your stuff, or sometimes they'll even, you know, buy a record or whatever. Or, I mean, like Mike was saying, it's just this whole networking thing, and a lot of the times it is word of mouth or whatever. Right? If we can help each other out, then that's great. You know, kind of like what we're doing right now.
Yeah, absolutely. So I was gonna kind of make a reference about the artwork too. So thanks for doing that, because a really good friend of mine who I work with, and we're the only 2 guys that listen to this kind of music in all of my work. So it's like we and we both happen to be like management in the company. So like we'll have like little chats together right now because we all work from home, of course. Yeah. And he really dug the record too. And I said to him, I said, dude, you know what this album cover reminds me of? And I just want to see what your thoughts are when I say this.
Yeah.
I said, imagine like the first Monster Magnet record, but if they were a grindcore band. Like, that's kind of what it reminds you of. Like, you remind me of Spine of God. Like, if you ever see that album cover, look at it. And it reminds me of like Spine of God, but gone horribly, horribly wrong. So,
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That makes sense. Eric Sweet is a really, really dear, longtime friend of ours.
Yeah, he's done lots of art
nice.
for us.
Yeah. He did the Your Fault record. And then this was a painting. And it's hanging in had been hanging in a place called Blackthorn, which is a venue we play here quite a bit. And awesome, awesome place. And it had been hanging up there for years. And I guess was Eric finally won it? Like,
Yeah, Roger was hanging on to the owner of the Blackthorn was hanging on to the painting because this guy doesn't really like if you're in his like circle of friends, he doesn't really sell you stuff. He'll like let you hang on to it for him.
I gotcha.
It's that type of thing.
Yeah,
you know. So and then like one time he came and took one back and was like went and did a whole bunch of more shit to it and then brought it. I got it back like a year later.
Oh,
you know? Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's always really cool.
Mm-hmm.
And but I've always been a big fan of his. He's a really close friend, but I'm also a huge fan of his art. You know,
Right. And
that's pretty rare because usually you just got to tell your friend, yeah, that's really good.
Exactly. Cool.
Yeah.
You want to hang the ball? I guess.
Nice. So
And, got that the bar changed hands, and so he kept wanting to get the painting back, but nothing could ever line up. So I lived just a few blocks away from there at this time, and so he told me, "Hey, I'm coming to town. We're gonna go get that painting." And so we went down there and got it, and then it ended up outside of my studio. Like when you walked into my studio door, it was right there.
nice.
So, as we were recording, like we couldn't have everybody there at the same time. That's when COVID was starting to hammer. So it'd be like one person at a time coming over, sometimes two people, and everyone had their own tops to their own microphone and everything.
Right. Yeah,
Yep.
yep. We were all like switching mics out and mic parts out.
But we were walking by it every day, and so I remember one day just looking at it, going, "Why don't we just use this for the album cover, man?"
Yep.
Cool.
So we took it outside in the sunlight. We're all looking at it. Really see the yellows and stuff. And we're like, yes, like what can we call this? And then we came up with the necro-eclosion thing.
Right.
Like
Nice.
what's it called when
when
a moth like comes out,
but it's dead. Initially it's like acting like dead. And Mike was like, "What's it called when you emerge from a cocoon?" And I looked it up, and it's eclosion.
Right.
Fucking dude, I was like, "Whoa!" He goes, "Well, what if you're dead first?" So that's kind of
Nice.
where it came from.
yeah, because that thing looks like it's coming out of it. We keep looking over there because it's up.
Yeah.
That's just hanging right up over there. So it's like it is kind of a cocoonish thing.
Yeah, it is.
There's some kind of emerging thing going on there. So yeah.
But when he painted that at school, and it used to look a lot different. The eye, that whenever you take the record out, you can see that label, you can see that eye. It used to be way more prominent, and like there are other students in the class, they asked him to cover the painting. So he had to keep a sheet over it, and he could only lift it up when he was there.
Are you serious?
Because other kids were like, "That is evil."
Yeah, they're like out on it. I didn't know that.
Yeah, dude,
Whoa.
That's so cool.
Wow. Was this when he was teaching?
No, that's when he was going to Southern, getting one of his degrees out there.
Oh, okay.
Sure.
Crazy.
Very cool.
Yeah.
So talk to me a little bit about how you got hooked up with the record label, because the first thing I want to ask is, so the other artists that are on the label, Black Doomba, is kind of like they're a lot more straight ahead doomy.
Right.
You guys are a lot more hardcore punk, like left of center. So I kind of want to see like what made you bond with the label, and why you think it's a good fit. So.
Well,
I think it's because we hit it off so well with Tommy.
yeah.
You know,
I don't know how that connection with Tommy even happened. I don't know if you know who Tommy Stewart is, but he played in Hollow's Eve.
Yep.
They're on Metal Blade Records. I mean, they're badass.
he's got some stories.
I mean, he's got Slayer, Motorhead stories, and anyway. So I don't know how we got to be friends with him on Facebook or whatever, But it's just kind of one of those things. Sometimes on Facebook, you just see a musician comment on something, and you're like, if I reply to him, I wonder if they'll talk to me. So I think that kind of thing, you know. And so I think that may have been how that happened. And we just got to talking, and he invited us to play 5 shows, I think.
Okay.
And like Chicago, Wisconsin Rapids, Houston, Dallas, and then he wanted to play in Joplin. And of course, when he stayed in Joplin, he stays at the Bonnie and Clyde apartment. Because this is Tommy we're talking about. So, he's something else, man. So anyway, we got to really know him and see how he not did business, but just how he was as a person, and just his personality, and kind of how he talked to people and all that stuff. And and then we dealt with him on a professional level in a way, booking shows for us and things. So he had mentioned, like, he goes, I always loved you guys and thought it would be cool to sign you to the label, but I just didn't think a couple years ago or whatever was the right time.
Sure.
He's like, well, I don't want it to just be a doom sludge stoner label.
Sure.
And he goes, I just thought GraveHuffer was the perfect band to kind of break out of that mold, so to speak.
Cool.
And he goes, because you guys kind of have a little bit of that, because he goes, some of the doom sludge stoner bands really dig you guys because of your sound, your tonality is just kind of sludgy, sounding wise. And and a lot of that doomy stuff kind of comes from like punk rock anyway, like we were talking about. And we all kind of come from the same roots of the tree, so to speak. And I'm trying to think. I think
we did a compilation first, right?
That's it. Yeah.
He put us on one of his compilations.
Mm-hmm.
Did he know Robert? From No Slip? Is that how the?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. He said that he had thought about picking us up,
but Robert did.
But No Slip did.
Yeah.
For a 7 or 2 7-inch.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Did 2 7-inches with him?
Yep, that's right. Yeah, No Slip Records did a couple of EP, 7 inches with us, and but No Slip was kind of like they were going to put out Necroeclosion, well, what was to become Necroeclosion, but he was like, guys, I just don't think I'll be able to do it. And we're like, dang. And that's when we started like looking for a label, and because I had submitted to Black Doomba at the same time I submitted to No Slip. And so, yeah, that's kind of it's weird. Like, I guess I've never really thought about it all that much. And it's all coming back to me now. You think I smoke pot or something? Really? I'm just around, dude. Maybe that's. But.
No, that's totally cool. Awesome. So I'm going to start wrapping this up. I'm going to ask you the last question that I ask every single band.
Okay.
And I get really interesting answers, so I'm ready for an interesting answer from you as well.
Okay.
So, if Necroeclosion could be recorded and redone by any band that you would want to have it done, what band would you want to do it and why?
Wow.
That's a good question, man.
Neurosis.
I'm good with that.
Man, I feel like Neurosis can cover all the bases, because, I mean, I know a lot of people aren't familiar with their punk rock, like Peace of Mind and all that stuff, but it's the same fucking band, dude, same drummer. It's not like he can't play fast, I mean, he's in Sleep too, so that guy's their drummer is amazing. So I mean, he can handle all that, and those guys come like I said, like coming from the punk rock roots. They came from punk rock roots, and they're kind of doing their own thing now. Right. So I feel like Neurosis would be able to kind of grasp that. And another reason would be like we kind of want to record with Steve Albini.
Sounds like a plan.
Neurosis works with him, so yeah, that would be cool. And I think Neurosis would also, I don't know. I just think they would get it. for lack of a better term. And they have the Noah Landis that does the sampling stuff, and I'd be interested to see like what he would bring to it.
Cool.
So yeah, that's my pick.
Man, that's tough.
I know.
Dude, you're like, do you go weird?
Yeah.
Do you say, "Oh, I like to hear what
Like I want
Frank Zappa would do"? Too.
Yeah.
Or
Right.
Devo.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with Devo, dude.
Nice.
Or Skinny Puppy. I mean, like Skinny Puppy could probably take the scariness, like the funk, the ugly underneath part of it.
Yeah.
And make it really cool. I'm gonna say Skinny Puppy, man.
Man,
That's
that
cool.
would be fuck.
It would be awesome to hear that kind of like really dark, creepy electronic side of it. So yeah, that totally cool.
Yeah.
Very cool, man. No, so I just want to say thank you very much. Like, I totally appreciate your time. I will definitely put links to the Bandcamp and to your Facebook pages so everybody can support you as well. And when this damn pandemic does end, I better see you somewhere out here that I can come hang out. We can have a beer and talk about Buzz Aldrin, wrestling, and music. So, all right.
Yes.
Again. Thank you so much, guys. This is Clint from the Doorway 2, hanging out with Richie and Mike from GraveHuffer. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Hey, thank you, man. Thanks for your time, dude.
Yeah, thanks a lot, man. This was a blast.
As people, the things you're doing like this, like it keeps the fabric of the scene together. You know what I mean?
I appreciate you.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Well, when I showed the guys your video review, they were like, "Whoa, man, who is this guy?"
I said, "Man, we can't have anybody to do a better job than that." Man.
Right. I know. And what was it? The guy that did the artwork, Eric Sweet. He goes, "Man, you guys got you a new convert, man."
Well, the thing that stuck out to me is like your review was going, and you said, "This is like the 5th time I've listened to it," and it was the day it came out.
Yeah.
Right.
I was like, damn, this guy's listened to it 5 times.
Well, I had it a little bit earlier than the day it came out. Like I got it to the PR guy. So yeah.
Okay. Nice.
I was like, man, this dude is really digging in. Dude.
Yeah, no, yeah. I had it for about 2 weeks before it came out, so I took some time to really listen to it. But I can't listen to a record one time and then do a review. It's just it's fucking impossible.
It really is.
Yeah, that's cool that you listened to it that many times because you actually caught a lot of cool stuff that people mention.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, again, thank you very much, guys. Like I said, I'll make sure that it gets spread out to the hundreds of listeners or viewers that are going to watch this. So I'll see you, and you have a good one.
All right, you too, man. Take care.